man like this needs to be quoted, to be listened to.
So this one was a solo shoot, and that's why there's not a lot of B-roll, but we had a really precise plan for this one, and the song is only like 2 minutes and a little bit longer. I find when you're doing music videos, the length of the song is super important. So this was kind of my favorite setup here at the cemetery, and I'll get in and talk about this, but this is me placing him in different places around this shot so that I can mask him out. These are these Yongnuo wand lights that I bought from Amazon for like $100. And they're battery powered, and it's convenient stuff for a videographer. And of course, this was shot last summer, and so I'm doing a lot of these photo sequences. You guys can tell me if you think I'm overdoing it, but yeah, I love this stuff. Like this one turned out really nice, and I love the one on the fence. And then this is a bunch of like cemetery footage that I shot on like a vintage Handycam. And honestly, I think this stuff is awesome, but we didn't end up using any of it in the final cut. I think it was just a little too lo-fi for his tastes, and so what I've done is I've put all this footage into a Google Drive folder, and the link to that folder is in the description. So you can feel free to download this footage because I've never used it for anything. I just want to see it get put to good use. Okay, so let's get into the edit a little bit. Cut one, and I'm doing what I always do, right? I shot all these performance clips. I'm syncing them up, and then I'm just trimming them to kind of the best pieces, trimming away the little camera movements, the part where it goes out of focus, the part where, you know, he's messing up the lines or whatever happens. And then I just got my B-roll over here, and as you can see, I've got very little B-roll, and so I think what I ended up doing was going in and taking a little B-roll from kind of the off moments in the performance shots. We get into cut two, and so I've just cut down the number of performances, and what I'm doing is I'm layering them up, all the best pieces. I'm taking the best moments and then comparing those best moments, just determining which scene I want at which moment. And then this effect. So this effect I already had by cut two, and this is just simple masking. I've just copied and pasted this same shot that I masked over and over. So you can see, here's the mask, and this is what it would look like with nothing underneath it, right? So I'm just masking into each shot, but what's underneath it actually matches what's on the other side of this tree trunk. So it flows really smoothly, and I just layered them up, and I timed it with the same time as this like turntable kind of sound, and so that worked really nice. I did a few of those little effects in this. So by cut three, I've got it cut down to just 2 performances, and I got my layers on top here, and I'm choosing my favorite pieces. And then by 4, I'm already color correcting. So we'll go in and talk about like this cemetery shot. I was talking about how I did this masking, and so here you can see that's what my mask looks like, right? That's kind of an idea of what the masks look like. It's actually pretty ugly when you dissect it. And so what ended up happening here was that he actually didn't like this shot of him leaning on the gravestone, and that's understandable. And of course, when you're doing client work for an artist like this, you know, it's his music, it's his video, and so that's no problem. But I will give you an idea here, just what it looked like when we had him in the video. This was before we made the revisions, you know, and I just like how there's kind of 4 of them there. There's just a little bit more going on. It's a little bit more dynamic, but in the end we just cut it down, and we took out all these ones, and we made it a little bit less busy. Cut 5, we'll look at another effect here. Let's look at, so I love this effect. I've done it in quite a few videos, and I'll just give you a preview of what it looks like. You can get the round here, and you can get the sound round here, bound by cold in this cold out there, blow air like the throne been clone round here. So it looks like he's standing in several places in the same parking lot. It looks like there's clones of him, right? So I'll break down how this goes down. So first of all, we've got a mask in. Here's our mask. And my layer underneath, I've done, this is where the speed's on. So Basically, to do this effect, I've just taken the camera and I'm like dollying off camera in this movement, and then I land on him and he just says his line aloud. We don't have the music playing, it's not synced up to the music, he just says, "You can gather round here." And then after he says that line, I dolly off of him and I move in the direction of the next placement. So you just have to have it mapped out of where he's going to be standing and a rough idea of how much time is in between each line of lyrics that he's singing. And so then I have the next shot, and in the next shot I start my dolly movement in roughly the same place that the last one ended. And so I'll show you here. We're just doing Twixtor, and so we've got this 100 speed just for the mask so it doesn't look crazy underneath this layer. And then when this layer is revealed, we speed it up to 500, we whip pan in, and then we're at 100 here. Says his line, we speed up to 500, and watch this, I'm moving, and then I cut, and this is actually where the cut is. That's how close it is, but when you play this in fast motion, it's not even noticeable. Gets his next line in here, and let's look at the keyframes again. 100, and then now we're gonna have to travel all the way across the parking lot. So I sped it way up to 1500, and here's my cut point, right? So it's like, you just have to get close in the roughly the same area, and in fast motion it tricks your eyes. This one's 1500, so it's even faster. Just look at my keyframes here to 100, bound by the cold, and then he finishes his line, and then we just float away. So that's one of my favorite effects. I've done that one quite a few times. The other effect I really love is this like spinning transition, and again it's kind of timing it up with the turntable noises. So to do that, I basically just did several takes spinning around him with the gimbal as he was performing, and it may look like I had it kind of exactly figured out, but it's just a bunch of speed warps and then cutting to the point where right when he says the lyrics you just have to be on him, whether you speed ramp into it or sometimes I just cut into it. And then what you're seeing on top, all this like film burn stuff, these are my overlays, right? Yeah, I use a ton of different overlays, and again that's kind of a client request. He wanted like the film burn stuff, he wanted a little bit of grit and a little bit of grain, so I've got a few overlays here. So yeah, that's just a little bit about the edit. Gather round, pen work. Let me know what you think of the video. Here it is.
Man like this needs to be quoted, to be listened to.
Arms still heavy from my grandfather's coffin. Sharks in my pen smell blood and they starving. Black Excalibur flow to carve margins. You think I bought Starscream spark at an auction? Lost in the dark where the wolves take caution. Leaving the sheep between their teeth, no flossing. Trying to find asylum so you preach for a portion. Sideline stylized lies not enforcing. Look, I got my family to thank. Mechanicals to keep the animals in rank. Pen game dirty, broad cannons with the tank. And my chef game strong, I'll feed a cannibal a flank. Look, see my black beard on a ghost ship. No shit, now we'll make a phantom walk the plank.
Come on, read my future for me.
You haven't got any.
What do you mean?
Your future is all used up.
You can gather round here. And you can get the sound round here. Bound by a code and it's cold out there. Flow air like the throne been cloned round here. You can gather round here. And you can get the sound round here. Bound by a code and it's cold out there. Flow air like the throne been cloned round here. You can gather round here. And you can get the sound round here. Bound by a code and it's cold out there. Flow air like the throne been cloned round here. You can gather round here. And you can get the sound round here. Bound by a code and it's cold out there. Flow air like the throne been cloned round here.
All of you, go ahead, make phone calls. Call home or whatever.